Welcome to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Namovsky. Working physically in the office allows women to understand and read the corporate culture in the room. There's a lot of hype around the positives and the negatives of working from home. But in order for women to advance in their corporate careers, they need to be seen, heard, and known in the office. Remember the mantra, out of sight, out of mind? Today, I'm joined by Rita Trichur. She's the senior business writer and columnist at the Globe and Mail. Today's focus, hybrid work kills women's careers. So let's find out why. Rita, welcome back to Empowered.
Thanks, Liz, for having me.
You know, I'm so excited because you were my first guest. You were the first one to support me on the show, and I'm so happy to have you back now in season 2. So let's begin. We started talking about hybrid work back in 2021, and it was billed as a win-win for everybody, right? But, you know, cost savings for businesses, flexibility for employees. What happened?
Okay, well, in some ways, this was completely predictable because while companies put policies in place, they did so by doing wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know, there's a remote work option, a hybrid work option, but really, wink, wink, it's for women. And the problem there is it's not enough to put policies in place. You actually have to change the culture of a workplace to ensure that a hybrid office will work optimally. And if men don't take advantage of the hybrid work option as often as women do, it becomes a sort of unspoken, it's for women. And then you run into the risk of the culture not changing. And just as you said, women then become out of sight, out of mind, and it pushes them off the leadership track.
Okay, so let's focus here. So it's providing, as you predicted, to be a killer for women. Can we delve a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a group of corporate leaders who, before the COVID-19 pandemic, kind of looked askance at remote working. Back then, we used to call it telecommuting. Remember those days? So there were always people who would telecommute. But, they were largely viewed by corporate leaders as not the people who were going to be on the promotion track. They're, people who required accommodations. And, in some cases, it's based on stereotypes and it's unfair. But the mindset of the leader, the importance of FaceTime, that actually has not shifted post-pandemic.
So we talked about out of sight, out of mind, FaceTime. It's extremely important, and I think people need to understand why it's so important.
Well, think of all of the conversations that happen at work that are spontaneous. The feedback that you can receive from colleagues just from spontaneous conversation, either at your workstation or in the lunchroom. Think of the guys who kind of lean into an office and say, hey, boss, what'd you do on the weekend? Start talking about sports. But then the conversation actually evolves into a business discussion. Far too often women are left out of those conversations. That was the case before the pandemic. And now if you're not in the office to overhear those conversations, the same thing can happen.
It's funny because you and I talked about that just before we started the show. You're in the office. I'm in the office every day. And I find it helpful. Because just like girlfriends, when we get together, if there's an issue or something that we're going through personally, we're going to talk to each other and bounce ideas off of each other. And I think when you're sitting at home, you're actually missing that. And we're tactile as well, right? We like to touch and have fun with each other.
Absolutely. I write for a living, and sometimes, I even get writer's block and I'm stuck. What am I trying to say? How am I phrasing the sentence? And I go over to a colleague who I refer to as the lead doctor or the sentence doctor and say, hey, can you come over and just help me out here? I just need to brainstorm a bit. It actually helps you to hear diverse perspectives when you're in the office from different people.
And it's good to get together with your friends as well. Step out for lunch because you can talk about, as you said, if you're stuck one day, you're stuck on a specific sentence or a paragraph, or you need the lead doctor or whatever, you can step out for lunch and just brainstorm about different things and figure things out rather than sitting at home and thinking, I'm stuck. I can't wrap my brain around this right now. I don't know what's happening. And the thing is, when we're in the office, you actually know what's happening. It's not you're not at home listening to things, a gossip or secondhand. you know exactly what's happening. So when we come back, we're going to discuss more about getting yourself back in the office.